host, Jim DeGennaro, and I would like to thank the talented and handsome Brian Lacey for filling in for me last month.
Oh my gosh.
While I was on vacation. Brian is an amazing individual and we certainly appreciate him. Today we'll be hearing from two of our county commissioners, Todd Dantzler and Ed Smith. First up is Chairman Todd Dantzler, who will be discussing two very important gauges of our economy: property values and employment opportunities. Thank you for being on the show.
Appreciate being here, Jim.
Let's start with property values, which are important to you, Commissioner, as one of our policymakers for structuring a balanced county budget every year and as an active real estate broker. Polk County property appraiser Marcia Fox reports that Polk County's final gross taxable value lost about $92.5 million in the 2007 to 2012 timeframe, but the 2013 tax roll gained 4% for the first upward tick in 5 years. She also believes that the 2014 tax roll will also see an increase over last year, but it's too early to tell for certain. From what you see around the county, are you as optimistic as Marcia?
Yes, I am optimistic as Marcia. You know, when you benchmark it at 2007 levels, that was really not a good number. You know, that was a speculator's market. So I think where we will end up settling will be somewhere the 2002, 2003 values when this whole thing is over, and I think we'll start gaining from there. On the commercial real estate side, we're seeing some growth. We're seeing some positive signs. It's better. It's not good yet, but it is better. And but it was really bad for a long, long time. People are starting to see things. People are looking hard for investments with a return. Raw land is still kind of tough to sell. We're doing everything we can to bring some new hotels to the area, not only near Legoland, but around the county, because we have a considerable deficit in new hotel rooms. Most of our hotels are older, dated properties, and so we really need some new hotels. Restaurants are starting to expand a little bit. They're not going crazy like they were, but at least we're starting to see some positive impacts on the economy and the local economy, yeah.
You know, some of the staples in the commercial from where I sit, they seem to be the racetrack, the Dollar General, the Family Dollar. Wawa is purchasing some sites in Polk County. Publix is continuing to look to build new stores here. So commercial, as you say, is slowly but surely coming back. What about the residential side of the equation?
Well, residential's picking up. You know, we've lost a lot of realtors, that's my point of view, have gotten out of the business over the last 5 years, and the ones that have survived will probably continue to survive. Business is done a little differently now. Financing is a so much bigger issue to closing deals than it ever has been in the past. The lenders are really scrutinizing the buyers, which is probably good, but I think they're over scrutinizing. And we're seeing a positive track on numbers. We're whittling down the foreclosure rate.
Oh, yes.
I think you referenced that, or we're going to. And, you know, signs are pointing upwards. And there are multiple, you know, you have a house that you've got listed under $100,000, you're probably going to get multiple offers, and they need to be cash. They can't be ladled with financing contingencies and a lot of other things. If you're looking to buy a house, you need to go to the bank and get pre-qualified and have that pre-qualification letter that says, I can afford a house, you know, with a $90,000 mortgage or $70,000 mortgage or $130,000 mortgage. You can't just hope that someone else doesn't buy that house, because you're competing with cash buyers out there. So that's the reality of the market on the lower side. The upper end, it's okay. There's not a whole lot of big deals being done, but you know, there are real estate transactions that are occurring.
An economist, a national economist, recently said that typically a household spends about 20% of their income on their mortgage. Because of the lower interest rates the last couple years, that has dropped down to about 13%. So it is a good time for people to get into houses if they can afford it.
It's a great time to be buying a house if you can afford it. You know, I think we're going to segue into jobs, but that's a big that's a big barrier is, do people have jobs? Are they going to keep their jobs? I think most people that have a job now feel like they're going to keep it, but 4 or 5 years ago, there was folks that had been employed for 20, 30 years that were losing their jobs through no fault of their own. It was just the way that companies survived. And, you know, I think that as interest rates are still at a historical low. My father passed away about 6.5 years ago, and my mom found this amortization book that he had back before you had calculators and everything. And the rates in the book were 5 to 25%. And I showed that to some of my folks in my office, said 25%? I said, yeah, when I got into real estate, mortgage rates were 19 to 22%. And then they started going down. So anything under 10% is a good deal. And now we're under 4.5%, 5%. So now is an outstanding time to be buying real estate if you can afford it and if you need it.
You know, I recall the housing boom a decade ago where some speculators were purchasing business park land for $100,000 an acre and then changing the future land use to build houses. Do you ever see us getting back to those heady days?
I hope not.
Yes, sir.
And it wasn't just business park, citrus groves that are typically 15, maybe 20,000 for an outstanding heavy producing grove. You know, they were selling for 70, 75,000 an acre. And so farmers, instead of growing oranges, they started growing houses. And, you know, the economics of the housing market just don't work with land prices like that and what the ultimate price is that you can sell a house for.
And as you mentioned, Commissioner, if we can get the housing industry running on all cylinders, the whole economy will start to spin.
Absolutely, and I don't think that we will get back to where we're just building the crazy number of houses that we were, and people that couldn't or shouldn't afford a house were getting loans. That's where the problem was, is we started living on a speculator's society and a speculator's economy rather than a realistic one. But, you know, we should get back to where we're growing 3 to 4% in the real estate market each year. That's normal, that's attainable, that's sustainable. And I think we've got a ways to go, but I think we've come a long way. I think the worst is behind us, but who knows if something happens in Washington, you know, we've still got to deal with that down here on the local level.
Yes, sir. Let's switch gears a little bit to the other important barometer of our economy, the unemployment rate. Florida's unemployment rate fell from 6.4% to 6.2% in December, reaching its lowest point in 5 years. Polk County's unemployment rate fell in December, but it was another weak month for us for job growth. Our unemployment rate was slightly higher than the state's rate last month. We were at 6.8%, down significantly, however, from the 8.7% the year before and 7.3% the month before that. What do you think about this positive movement in our unemployment rate?
Well, I think anytime we lower our rate, that's good. But we are consistently above the state average. We're consistently above the national average. And the rate is important, but it's not the most important thing. I think it's the total number of jobs. In November of 13, we had 196,000 non-farm jobs. And during peak employment, we had about 214. So we have a deficit of about 18,000 jobs. And that's the number that we need to be whittling down. And I talked to Dave Petter, chairman of our president of CFTC, and asked him how many companies we have in Polk County that have 20 or more employees. And his number was about 947. We could be off a few. And if every one of those companies hired one person, there's another 1,000 people who have jobs. There's another 1,000 families who have a positive impact, who are now going out to restaurants more. And every job has this multiplier effect that it just, the money that they get, they spend at restaurants, they buy shoes for their kids, they buy tires for their cars. And you know, I don't even know if it talks about real estate jobs or independent contractors like I am. You know, there's always room for more realtors.
You mentioned the CFTC. Well, the CFTC, the other economic development councils, the Chamber of Commerce's throughout our county, in Polk Works, now I think it's called Career Source.
Right.
They're all working to bring jobs. And when you look at some recent announcements, the Amazon in Lakeland, the Amazon now in Davenport opening up their second warehouse, O'Reilly's Auto Parts just opened up its new distribution center, which will eventually employ 400. And then you have Streamsong Resort just opened their lodge, and they hired 300 people. So we're getting a mix of high-tech distribution, some service jobs. They all count, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every job counts. And, you know, I see where Miracle Toyota just relocated to Haines City on 27. That's 30 jobs. The Country Club at Winter Haven just reopened. That's 30 to 40 jobs. A friend of mine, Carrie Wilson, has a Inside Out yoga studio, of which I am now a proud member of. I've done yoga a little bit, and I'm not very good at it, but you know, he employs instructors, and you know, it's the small businesses that are going to pull us out of this. It's, you know, it's great to have O'Reilly with their 160 jobs now and eventual 400 in Streamsong. These are home runs, but how you score runs are knocking a bunch of singles. And those are the 3 employee jobs, the 5 employee jobs, and those grow, they start hiring more people, and that's going to be the backbone of our economy. Is we couldn't be more fortunate to have Publix, O'Reilly, all the large folks, but it's the little guys that are really going to make this thing come out of where we are.
So we're sort of like the Pete Rose of the economy minus the gambling charge.
Rod Crew. Let's go with Rod Crew instead.
The Lakeland Economic Development Council
Right.
recently opened up Catapult,
Yes.
which is an incubator for budding entrepreneurs in downtown Lakeland. Your business partner, Gary Ralston, believes that for Polk County to thrive, we need to support growing our own businesses.
Absolutely.
And supporting small businesses. Are you on board
Absolutely.
with that concept?
And it kind of goes into what I just said, is the job that our local EDCs are doing. Steve Scruggs in Lakeland, Bruce Line in Winter Haven, Cindy John Amaso and Paul Simpson in Haines City. Amy Palmer kind of in Auburndale. She's a little bit different position. Jim Bell in Haines City. In Lake Wales, and Dave Petter for the county. I think we've got a fairly well functioning economic development organization to help new businesses come in. Dawn DeCaminata running our small business here, helping, you know, if you want to start your own business about, you know, making honey or whatever it is, they're there to help you do that. So I firmly believe that it's a whole lot easier to hit a bunch of singles than to hit a grand slam.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Dantzler, for your insights on bettering the community and economic development of Polk County. Please stay tuned, as Commissioner Ed Smith will soon join us with a topic that promises to keep us buzzing.
And we've been moving through that. We are now finished with phase 4, and we're ready shortly.
Jenny, they're going to be doing a road improvement over in front of Bev's place.
Well, you better give her a call because she's always whining about being the last to know.
Built some new sidewalks out there where were desperately needed. Drainage has been accomplished. Lake Blue.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, babe, you see that thing?
There's a million things in this world, Dad. What thing?
The thing about the government show, the commissioners talk about road improvements in your area next couple of weeks.
Where?
It's PGTV.
What?
It's PGTV.
You know I don't have cable, Dad.
Well, you could also catch it on the interweb. Yeah, the interweb. Watch it on it. It should be on that.
Interweb? Okay, Dad. I'll look it up. Bye. This is going to be great for Tony's business.
Hey, Bev, what's up?
Hey, Tony. I'm watching this show about a road improvement that's going to happen right in front of your shop.
Really? What show is it?
It's a show on PGTV.
Cool, but I don't have my laptop.
It works on your mobile. I'll text you the link.
Seriously? Government TV on my phone?
We've made major strides out there. That's something we're still working on.
What does this project mean?
PGTV, bringing you county news and information anywhere at any time.
Welcome back to the Commissioner's Report, where we're now joined by Commissioner Ed Smith. Welcome to the show, Commissioner.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. DeGennaro, and it's a real honor to be here.
Thank you. Florida Commissioner of Agriculture Adam Putnam recently made a presentation in Polk County where he quipped that the state bird was the construction crane. That's pretty good. But a lot of folks who live in Florida around water, and that's most folks, may argue that the state bird is the mosquito. Mosquitoes, of course, have been around a long time. What's the story you tell, Commissioner, about the croaker sack?
Well, that's just a little interesting tidbit from the early settlers and the things that they had to do to combat the mosquito. Of course, when they were here, you know, they hadn't invented off, and they hadn't invented such things as screens, and they hadn't invented such things as air conditioning. So these guys were pretty much at the mercy of the environment. So you know, given the heat here, you couldn't lock yourself inside of a house because you'd suffocate. So one of the ideas of combating mosquitoes was to build a fire and put something in that fire that would create a great deal of smoke. And one of those things was to put bits of cloth, or particularly croaker sacks seemed to be well adapted to that, and that would create a great deal of smoke. So you had your choice of getting eaten by mosquitoes or choking to death on smoke. Those are your two choices. So it was not a good existence.
Yes, sir, I can imagine. How did you become so passionate about mosquito control in Polk County, Commissioner?
Well, you know, we don't have so much where we live. I live in Lake Alfred. We do have mosquitoes, of course, everybody does.
Yes, sir.
But occasionally, in the early 90s, early and middle 90s, when our son was playing soccer, we would occasionally have to go to Mulberry for a soccer game. And it just became immediately obvious to everyone as you sat there, the mosquitoes were just much, much worse there than any place else we had to go. And I said, boy, this is terrible, and I feel really have a passion for the people who live in this area that have to put up with this every day, in warm months, of course. And but then I kind of forgot about it, I guess, as most people do who live in Polk County, in areas that don't have that bad a problem, until this last Christmas period. And I went down to participate in the Christmas parade, and we were told to be there at 5:30 because the parade starts at 6. Well, actually the parade started at 6:30, and I was misinformed. So we had about an hour to kill sitting there in a convertible, and of course I was out of the convertible and talking to people, and some of the city commissioners from Mulberry were there and other folks. And I just was standing there, just everybody was slapping at mosquitoes. And I said, boy, this is terrible. And I said to myself, I said, you know, people really shouldn't have to live like this. Not in this day and age. And we have means, I believe, of controlling these things. And we need to see what we can do about it. And I came back and just with a passion for doing something about this problem.
Yes, sir, we appreciate that, and I've done a little research. There are 4 basic approaches to controlling mosquitoes: prevention, source reduction, larviciding, or controlling mosquitoes in their larvae stage, and adulticizing, if that's how you say it, or controlling mosquitoes in their adult stage. Polk County, of course, has applied all these methods to mosquito control for years, but another strong look is being taken at this serious health and quality of life issue. Commissioner Smith, you unilaterally recently created a mosquito control task force. Could you please tell us about this initiative?
Well, you know, I said what we need to do is get people together, the important people together, the players, I would say, and let's take a look at the problem. Number one, I think issue here was to determine where are the mosquitoes breeding, where is this really happening, and once we find that, then decide what can we do about it. And I appreciate your 4 processes there, if you will call them that. But I said, you know, I want to look at, number one, chemical means, and the other one is I call mechanical means. By chemical means are just what you said, the larvicides, the adulticides, and all this kind of stuff. The mechanical means, if we go into that, are trying to eliminate the mosquito breeding areas. And this can be, of course, draining the mosquito areas, covering up and denying the mosquitoes, making people aware of anything around their house or homes. You know, a mosquito, they can breed in a teacup full of water. It doesn't take much. But just be aware that if there's anything around your house that's got water in it, if you'll get rid of it, eliminate it, every little bit helps. And so that's what we're going to try to do. Now we've had one meeting, and it was just kind of an organizational thing. We're going to meet again on February the 11th at 1:30. Anybody who would like to come is invited. We're going to hear from the Executive Director, Dr. Che of the Polk County Health Department. We'll talk about the health aspects of mosquitoes to humans. I've got a vet coming to talk about the effect of mosquitoes on both large animals, farm animals, basically horses and cattle. And also he's going to talk about the effect that mosquitoes can have on your pets, dogs and cats. So we're going to explore the problem. We're also have got Polk County mosquito control people are working with the GIS people to try to identify the sources of breeding, and we're going to work on that. And then phase 3 is, once we've identified and laid the program out, the next thing is to determine how much funding are we going to need to try to control the problem. I'm not going to say eradicate it, because I don't believe we can ever completely eradicate mosquitoes. That's not going to happen. But at least get them down to a reasonable level. And so, and then we're going to look at funding methods and whether we can get funding from the federal government, from the state of Florida, from Polk County, from the cities of Mulberry and Bartow also is involved. Do we have some corporations or companies that want to be good citizens and contribute? We just need to explore all the avenues that we can to try to work on this problem.
The state health department recognizes that mosquitoes are much more than just a nuisance. Can you speak to that?
Well, yes, absolutely. As I said, the two speakers that we're going to have, I think will talk about that. Number one, the heartworms and encephalitis for animals, among many others. I think we know several diseases that are very deadly to humans, and this is, well, I've got malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, encephalitis, etc., and there are many others. So, you know, we're going to look at all those things on the 11th.
This is serious business, not only in Polk County, but obviously throughout the state. Can you please tell us about the Lee County experience and the Florida Coordinating Council for Mosquito Control?
Well, that Florida Coordinating Council for Mosquito Control was established in Lee County, and what they were trying to do, of course, and I think have been very effective, was reducing tremendously the saltwater mosquitoes that were absolutely affecting the economy of their county. And I think they have been very effective. They've used aircraft to spray, and they've done several other means to control the mosquitoes. And as again, I think they've done a very good job. So we're going to contact them and just say, hey, do you have anything that you can give us that will just kind of contribute to our information pool? What can we do here?
If you don't mind, let's play a little game on the Commissioner's Report today about facts behind the mosquito and mosquito controls.
Sure.
And they're going to be true or false. The first question, Commissioner, are mosquitoes the deadliest animal or insect on Earth?
Absolutely, that's true. More deaths are associated with the mosquitoes than any other animal on the planet. As I said before, they carry any number of deadly diseases: malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, encephalitis. Mosquitoes also carry heartworm that can be lethal to your dog.
Thank you. Now, the second question. Do only female mosquitoes bite humans and animals? Are males involved in this too?
No, you're right. Mosquitoes mean nothing personal, but it's only the females because they need blood to lay their eggs. They need the protein to reproduce. Males don't bear the burden of producing young, so they'll avoid you completely and head for the flowers.
Some mosquitoes don't bite humans, preferring other hosts like amphibians or birds. Not all mosquito species feed on people. Some mosquitoes specialize on animals and are no bother to us. Is that true or false?
That's absolutely true. Matter of fact, the particular mosquito that we're seeing right now in the mulberry area they are called, and I hope I get this name right and say it right, they are the Mansonia mosquito, who are very aggressive biters. And these are the ones right now. There are several different breeds of mosquitoes, absolutely, and they have different habits, and they feed at different times of the day, and et cetera, et cetera. But these particular ones right now that are the real problem in mulberry and Bartow are the Mansonias.
When you're covered up by mosquitoes, sometimes you think maybe I can outrun these things. True or false? Mosquitoes fly at speeds between 1 and 1.5 miles per hour.
That's basically true. That might sound fast, but in the insect world, mosquitoes are actually rather slow. If a race were held between all the flying insects, nearly every other contestant would beat the pokey mosquitoes. Butterflies, locusts, and honeybees would all finish well ahead of the skeeter.
True or false? Mosquito wings beat 300 to 600 times per second.
That's true. This would explain that irritating buzzing sound you hear just before a mosquito lands on you and bites.
Okay. Salt marsh mosquitoes may travel up to 100 miles from their larval breeding habit. Is that true or false?
That's very true. So most mosquitoes emerge from their watery breeding ground and stay pretty close to home. But some, like the salt marsh mosquitoes, will fly lengthy distances to find a suitable place to live with all the nectar and blood they could want to drink.
Okay. And all mosquitoes require water to breed. And you kind of touched on this. Is it true that mosquitoes can breed in a puddle that's left after a rainstorm?
Absolutely. I think I mentioned earlier that they can breed in a teacup. It doesn't matter if there's water there. They can do it. They can develop quickly in bird baths, roof gutters, old tires dumped in vacant lots. If you want to keep them under control around your home, you need to be vigilant about dumping water out of everything.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Smith, for sharing your passion for mosquito control and your intelligence with us today. If you would like to learn more about mosquito control, please visit the Polk County website at www.polk-county.net. Go to the left side and look for How May We Help You on the column on the left, and then click on Mosquito Control. We thank all of our viewers for joining us today on this edition of the Commissioner's Report. This is your host, Jim DeGennaro, urging you to return next month when we'll have two other commissioners who will be speaking on topics that are vital to the policies and practices of Polk County government. Until then, please take care and enjoy this beautiful place we call home.